All right, let's talk about something, a theory that tries to unpack a really classic and, let's be honest, often super frustrating question. You've probably heard of it, the nice guy paradox. Yeah, that old phrase, right? Nice guys finish lost. But why does it feel so true so often? Well, the theory we're going to unpack today, it offers a very specific and, I gotta say, pretty controversial explanation for what's really going on. Okay, so this analogy right here, it's basically the key to understanding this whole thing. Picture this. You're at a restaurant and a waiter keeps bringing you food you didn't order, plate after plate. Now, he thinks he's being amazing, right? Giving you all this free stuff. But you, the customer, you're not grateful. You're just annoyed. According to this way of thinking, that unsolicited, kind of pushy kindness is the real root of the problem. And that brings us right to the first big idea from this source, what it calls the nice guy trap. Now, this is super important to get straight. When the theory uses the term nice guy, it's not talking about just being a decent, kind human being. Nope, it's pointing to a very, very specific pattern of behavior. And here's the big distinction, the one that changes everything. The argument isn't that kindness is bad. I mean, of course not. The issue is the motivation behind it. It's about that moment when kindness stops being a genuine gift and becomes, well, a kind of currency, a transaction where you're trying to buy approval or affection. So this pattern gets a pretty dramatic name in the source material. It's called the validation death spiral. Sounds intense, right? And it's meant to. It's all about this cycle where a person essentially trades away their own backbone, their opinions, their boundaries, their self-respect, all in this desperate hope of getting someone else to like them. So how does this spiral actually play out? Well, the theory breaks it down into four pretty clear steps. First, he offers that unsolicited niceness. Remember our waiter with all the food? Then, second step, he looks for validation in return. But third, she doesn't see it as kindness. She sees it as neediness, a lack of confidence. And that leads directly to the final step. Step 4, the attraction just fades away. Okay, so this is where things take a pretty big turn. We're shifting gears from social psychology to something, well, a lot more primal. The argument here is that this whole dynamic isn't just some awkward social mistake. It's actually tripping a much, much deeper evolutionary wire inside us. And this really gets to the core of the whole argument. I mean, if this nice guy behavior is so off-putting, what exactly are instincts reacting to? What's the deep, ancient signal that it's sending that makes us pull back? And here's the answer, according to this framework. That behavior gets flagged by our primal instincts as a weak bet. Yeah, it's a really harsh term, I know, but it is absolutely central to the biological argument that's being made here. But what does weak bet even mean in this context? Well, the theory goes like this. On a deep subconscious evolutionary level, someone who is constantly seeking approval is signaling that they lack the inner strength, the backbone, to be a truly reliable partner and protector. So their behavior gets flagged as, essentially, a poor choice for survival. Okay, so this leads us to the next big conflict presented in this theory, this idea of resource versus respect. And the whole point here is that, according to the source, a lot of people who are stuck in this nice guy pattern are just fundamentally misunderstanding what actually creates attraction in the first place. And this comparison here just lays out the disconnect perfectly. See, on the left, you've got resources. This is what he thinks he should be providing. Support, gifts, doing favors. But then you look at the right side, respect. And this is what the theory argues is the real foundation of attraction. It's the respect a woman has for his strength, his confidence, and his ability to hold his own boundaries. And this quote, man, this just boils the entire paradox down, doesn't it? The idea is that, yeah, resources are great, they're valuable, but they don't by themselves create that deep, lasting attraction or love. According to this framework, that is reserved for the respect you feel for someone you see as genuinely strong and confident. All right, so let's pull all these pieces together. Let's look at the full picture that this theory is painting of what it calls the ultimate paradox. So let's just recap the key takeaways from this theory. 1. Unsolicited niceness can feel like a transaction, not a gift. 2. Always looking for validation can come across as a lack of strength. 3. According to the source, this then triggers that primal weak bet instinct. And 4, real attraction, it argues, is tied to respect for strength, not just the stuff someone can provide. So if you boil this entire theory down to one single sentence, this is it.
The crucial point here is that attraction isn't something you can earn just by being nice. The argument is that the nice guy doesn't fail because he's kind. He fails because he's trying to use that kindness as a stand-in for the real deal, genuine strength and confidence.
So, there you have it. That's the framework. It's one very specific, very biologically focused take on attraction. But it definitely leaves us with a huge question, right? Is attraction really that simple? Is it just our ancient biology running the show? Or is it way, way more complicated than that? How much of it is just hardwired instinct, and how much is about who we are and the conscious choices we make? And that's the question we want to leave you thinking about.